What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the 575 shop. Today we're doing spigots on handrails, and this is what I do to kind of help speed up the process for me but ensure quality, alignment, and all that fun stuff. Is I don't have a 3D printer, but I do have a plasma cutting table, and I had some 1/8 plate. I know it's a little thin, but it does the trick, as you can see. So what I did is I cut myself some jigs with my spacing, and then that way I can just lay down the spigots in place, make sure that the pressure is on so that I have no gap, and then I can just put my tack there and I'm good to go. Now you might think, well, that's only 4, and you're correct, obviously, but now this is an 86-inch long railing. So what I've done is I have 4 spaces that are all perfectly symmetrical. Now here where I live, the law is that there cannot be more than 4-inch gap. So really center to center 4-inch, you're okay. Cannot have more than 4 inches apart. So that's what I did. And then I calculate, because of the length of the railing, that the first one just sits perfect off of this surface. So from here to center on both ends will be perfectly symmetrical by the time I get there. And it's very nice and quick. I fit the 4. Once I've done that, I release, I lay this down, I slide it over, I put this one back into the last one that I fit. So it'll be here. Then I fit the next 3, lay it down, fit the next 3. And I cut myself doubles for each end, so that each end will have its own piece. Now, as I was cutting these, I didn't do I wasn't overly concerned about super top quality of the numbers. It was just, these are the 4 size railings that I'm doing. And I did notice that the entry point of the cut on the plasma table makes a difference depending on, obviously, settings, making sure your table runs perfect, and mine is not. And so as you can see right there at the bottom, there was definitely an inconsistency in the cut when it pierced and entered. And then, so one problem right there, I was not going to use this piece. And then the other thing is the depth of these grooves. I just kind of wasn't happy with it given the size. So that led me to cutting these ones with a deeper groove so that more of the round bar, more of the spigot, we'll call it, ends up sitting inside. Now, in saying that, I also noticed that I do have some extra space because of the kerf. So I could have gone a little tighter on my tolerance. I had given myself, I think it was 0.1 of an inch on the cut, but then add the kerf and it gives me a little bit of play, but it's so little that I'm not overly worried about it. The other thing too is, if you don't have this equipment, if you don't have a plasma cutting table to make this kind of stuff, you don't have a 3D printer that you can do all the fanciness and have fun with it, you can still do it by hand. You can do it manually. And that's what I used to do before I had my equipment. So this is actually a piece, as you could tell, I've used as a support for paint and other things. But all I did in the past was I did the math, calculated my spacing, marked them all out, and then I drilled all the holes at the height that I would need, so that way I knew exactly that I was in the center of my tubing when I would drop the spigot in. And then once I did that, this was an angle, I would just lay out a center line and cut it with a skill saw. And that's why I used aluminum. It's nice and lightweight, super easy. And then you can just lay it down, and then you have all your spacing for your spigots. So it's doable without any fancy equipment. All you need is a drill and a skill saw. Your skill saw, you can buy the aluminum blades, or you can use a carbide tip blade that's made for construction. Just use some lubricant like WD-40, and you're gonna be good. You'll be able to make yourself a jig. And there you have it. That's how I make spigots, evenly spaced, consistent with efficiency, on handrails. Hope it helps.